How are you guys? It's nice to see you. You can basically ask me anything you want. It's a real free-for-all in here. Yeah, so let's start. Who wants to be first? No pressure, better be good. Just kidding. Hi.
Hi. I got the name for Billy a couple years ago. You know me, bro.
Did you say a couple days ago?
A couple of years.
Oh, okay. Like on the phone or?
He's been calling me.
Yeah.
And he says that the reason why Firefly still has such a huge audience is because it didn't have enough time to suck.
I think, yeah. I also think that's probably why we all still like each other. Because we didn't have enough time to grow to hate each other. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny, right? You see these shows like Supernatural that are on for, I don't know how many seasons now. 15, 16? 14. Okay, like that's better. I've literally probably only ever had like one season of everything. So I have no idea what that's like. But yeah, I don't know what would have, I don't know how it would have changed things, but man, we at least wanted 2 or 3, 4 or 5, or 6 or 7. There was a lot of story to tell, and I think it's always going to feel like the one that got away a little bit, you know? Well, that was a sad start. Who's next? Hi, oh my god, your outfit is amazing. It's amazing. She's Catalina from Space Cases a million years ago. We won't say how many years.
What can you tell us about your character upcoming in shows, Magicians?
Oh, the Magicians. I can't tell you much, probably. I get in trouble for this all the time. I have a good mouth. I play a librarian. And I got to wear really nice clothes. All custom-made clothes. The wardrobe department ladies are, they're like movie versions of wardrobe people. They're hilarious. And she like put this dress on me and she said, "It fits perfectly. It looks like it was made for you," because it was. I didn't get to keep it though, which is weird. You'd think you'd get to keep it. Anyways. Somebody from this side of the room? Are you like the shy side? Yes!
How do you feel when you go home and your son decides to act like a toddler and throws his little fits?
Temper tantrums?
Yes.
So I feel like a Navy SEAL at this point. I have been through it. He's almost 3. My son will be 3 in December. We were like, we just have to make it to 3. And then some awful person was like, 3's way worse than 2. He's very spirited. He looks exactly like my husband and he acts just like me, which is my karma in life. So when he's being overly dramatic and crazy, yeah, that's just the universe sort of getting back at me. It's what I deserve, it's fine. What's that?
Parent best revenge is grandchildren.
Yes, that's true. Yes, because you can leave the children, the parents, when you're done, and go home and sleep, which I don't do anymore. Yeah, there's somebody else. Yes.
Hey Joel, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
So I think we consider Kaylee a great leader for young women. Do you seek out new opportunities to play roles like Kaylee, or give young women some character to look up to?
I wouldn't say I seek out roles like that in particular. As an actor, I think it's while it's amazing to play someone who's considered a role model, which is a very nice thing to say, thank you. It's also just as fun and interesting if not more so, to play someone who's very damaged and evil. I really like playing bad guys. And I'm like on this weird role right now where I just keep playing bad guys, and it's so much fun. Yeah. But you know, it's all about variety and switching it up, and that's how you keep it interesting. That's the best part of the job, really, is you get to play all kinds of different people. Thanks. Yes, you.
What was the funnest day you ever had working on Firefly?
I'd say the movie was pretty fun. Just because we weren't afraid of losing our jobs as much. And we got to film at the Universal Studios lot. So there's a little back entrance just off of where all the film studios are to get into the theme park. And if you're an employee, you get to go to the theme park whenever you want. So I remember we had like a really long break, and me and Summer and I think Marina snuck through the thing and went to the Van Helsing Haunted House and went on the Mummy roller coaster ride. And I'm sure people thought we were dressed very strangely. But that was a pretty cool perk. I liked that. They won't, like once the movie's wrapped, they won't let you do that anymore, I found out. It's like, you know, they ask for your pass back. Oh well. Yes?
Actually, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
And they're totally different. One, what was your thought of Kaylee being like the smartest person on the show? And the mechanic.
Thanks for saying that.
Which is a novel role at the time for, well, for other women's roles as technicians, mechanics, and technical. And the second one was, what was that dress and the ball scene like on and off the set?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a ragtag crew, but I think they're all pretty darn smart. In their own way. Maybe not Jane. He's good at what he's there for, right? Let's go that way.
Public relations.
Public relations, exactly. I'm very precious about that character. I love her very much. And I love that she's so many different things, which I didn't really know about when I started the show. I mean, they don't tell you every arc your character is going to go on, so every time you read a script, it's a surprise to you. Like when I read Out of Gas, I was like, oh, wow, okay. Huh, she's pretty promiscuous. Which is great. I mean, she's just very unapologetic about who she is, and I appreciate that. There's nothing but honesty about her. She wears her heart on her sleeve. And she's just good at what she does, and she knows it, she's confident, and I love all those things about her. The dress was a nightmare. It was very uncomfortable. I loved wearing it for 5 whole minutes, and then I was ready to take it off. It was just very difficult to go to the bathroom. So I was very dehydrated. And there's a scene near the end when Badger comes on the ship and has us all held hostage, essentially, in the cargo bay until Mel comes back. And the reason why I'm in the coveralls again is because I talked Joss into letting me take the dress off. And he was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would Badger let you go to your room and change? That doesn't make sense. And I said, please. And it worked. Yes, hi.
Hi. In Summer Atlantis, you played a rape teenager.
Yes.
You came back as Dr. Pollard. Did people recognize you as the same actor?
No, that was the best part. I played the Wraith in Stargate. I didn't know what a Wraith was when I said yes to the job, so I learned a lesson there. Do your research. And it was very uncomfortable wearing the prosthetics and the teeth and the contact lenses, and it was a tough week. And at the end of it, they said, we'd love to have you back. And I said, sure, I'd love to come back. I just don't want to be the Wraith, though. So I think the plan, the original plan, was to have Elliot live or come back at some point, but that didn't happen. And then, yeah, about a year later, they called and out of the blue, completely out of the blue, and asked if I wanted to be the new doctor. It's a pretty sweet phone call. Pretty sweet phone call to get. Yeah, and it was a dream. I always say that's one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I would have done it for 15 years if they let me, just because it was so great. The people were so lovely. But yeah, at least I got like a few more seasons out of that one. You know, that went like 5 years. I'll take it. Yes, in the back. Yes.
Absolutely loved the Firefly.
Thanks.
How hard was the Firefly language to learn? The outtake must have been amazing.
It really wasn't that hard. It's weird. I think Joss writes musically, almost. The rhythm of the words, it comes out in a different way, and it's almost easier. And I love the way he writes. I love it. The Chinese was tough. You can tell who was really bad at it because we didn't get very much of it. And Nathan always says he was the best at it, and he's not wrong. He can still spout off the Chinese, and he will do it for you unprompted, a lot. But Alan also is not very good at it. Actually, the English he wasn't that good at. Like, there was a lot of lines that he forgot. He hates when I tell this story, but he's not here. In the movie, if you go back and watch the movie, the first scene where you see the crew and the ship is about to crash, it's one long shot. It's a beautiful shot. It starts off in the bridge and it comes back and you kind of meet everybody through the ship. We had such a spectacular set and it was an amazing way to show off the set. But it was a long take. And it did mean that if you were the one to screw it up, we'd have to start all over again. We'd be like, oh man, who was it? Who was it? But Alan had one of the first lines, and he still was so paranoid about screwing it up that he cut it out of the script and he taped it to the console. So if you look, you watch that scene again, he says an awful lot to the console, and it's because he's reading. Well, watch it again. It's like, if we don't da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then looks back at Mal. He really doesn't like it when I talk about that. It's a little tidbit for you. I think I was 19. I had a very fast metabolism back then. And I think Joss was worried that, I have to say this delicately, he had some experiences in the past where actresses were losing too much weight as the show went on. And he did not want that to happen again. And was adamant that Kaylee looked like she enjoyed her life. And I appreciated that. And it was a lot of fun to gain the weight. But now, I don't know, things are very, they're a lot more delicate now. I don't think you're allowed to tell someone how to look and how to be anymore, especially a female. And what's also interesting is that back in the day, my job is very weird in that if you get pregnant, it's very hard to get hired if you're showing. And a lot of the time, productions don't want to hire you because they don't have insurance. They can't insure you. So essentially, if something happens to you and they have to halt production, they lose millions of dollars, and it's terrible for everyone. But nowadays, things have changed a little bit, and they're not allowed to tell you whether to get pregnant or not get pregnant. And that's really nice. I think there's just been more respect built about women and their choices and their bodies, and no one dares cross the line anymore, which is a good thing. Yeah. the camera. It's weird. Hi. What was it like working with the cast? This doesn't happen every time, and it's very rare. It's very rare that you have 9 people who get along that well and love each other very much, which we did almost instantly and bonded. And I think because the show was the underdog and we knew it the whole time, that bonded us even more. And once it ended, we started getting invited to conventions. Our first convention we ever got invited to was in the UK, and it was a Buffy convention. And we thought, why do they want us there? That's weird. Okay, free trip. So we went, and there were a lot of people there with Jane hats showing their love, and we were really surprised. We thought no one was watching the show. And then it snowballed, and because it was such a success, we've weirdly gotten to travel the world with each other, and it's so much fun, and we've become even closer. So we're a family, and we have group texts going on, and talk to them a lot. I talk to Sean almost every day. He's my buddy. And Nathan I talk to a lot as well. My son called him. He's figured out how to get in my phone. And he called him at like 6:30 a.m. or something. And I didn't know. And then I got a text from him at like 8, and he said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Yeah, everything's great. Why?" And he said, "I missed a call from you at 6:30 a.m. and it had me really worried." And I was like, "Oops, sorry about that. That wasn't me." But they're very supportive people, and I love them dearly. And it's a lot of fun to do these things with each other, which we don't get to do very often. We always keep saying to people that somebody's got to come up with a Firefly convention so we can all be together. It's more fun that way. Oh, so many hands, yes?
So as it comes to these conventions, do you find Firefly families growing, dwindling, stagnant, like is it the same?
I think it's growing because it's getting passed on to a new generation, which is so amazing to see. Although it kind of hurts when someone's like, "I watched you when I was a little kid." I'm like, "Oh God." Really? Okay. I do think it's growing, and it's the weirdest, wildest thing, because it was such a short time in my life filming that show. It was like 5 months, I think, out of my life, and it's just become this phenomenon. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
You're next. Where were you? Okay, I won't miss you. Yes.
Kaylee has a very distinct sense of style, which is very cool, and has unique pieces, which I learned very fun practicing. But I was wondering if you got to keep any of those pieces.
No, I didn't keep anything. I am stupid. I grew up in this business. I've been acting since I was 5, and I was always taught that you don't take things. You don't steal from sets, and everybody else does. So I'm kicking myself a little bit for not taking anything. Nathan has boxes of stuff, and he gave me, and acted like it was out of the kindness of his heart, the Kaylee's room door sign and hammock from the engine room. And was like, "Here you go, you can have these." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks. They're technically mine, but okay." But yeah, I don't know what happened to the rest of it. I had heard that there were auctions for charity, which makes me happy. And I think some pieces went that way. But I hope something good happened to them, and I hope somebody's enjoying them. Yeah. And I promised you that, yes, hi.
Hi. So I learned pretty recently, and I imagine a lot of people don't know, that you have a food blog.
I do.
Can you talk about what the genesis of that was? Like, have you always enjoyed cooking? And what's your recommendation for a pork tenderloin?
I have some pork tenderloin recipes on there.
Oh,
I love pork tenderloin. I love everything. But the genesis of that was boredom. Between jobs, I've always been really food obsessed. I love to cook. It's one of my favorite things to do. We were talking about this last night. My best friend came on this trip with me, and we were talking about passion. Like, what's your passion in life? And I think my passion is cooking. I like acting. I like my job, but it's a job. And I love to cook. It relaxes me. I read cookbooks like other people read normal books. I wanted to have a different creative outlet, and it's really fun. And a lot of the time it deviates now from food. I try and include a recipe in every entry, but a lot of the time I'm just talking about my life as a mom because that's what I live and breathe at the moment. But yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. Be fair. Go. Somebody up here? No. Okay. Yes.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay, since you like to cook, how would Gordon Ramsay rate your food?
I don't know. He terrifies me. Like, truly terrifies me. Yeah, I don't know. I would never dare cook for him. Ever. Somebody else have a question here? Yes, sir. Yeah.
I was kind of curious. I don't know how much you can share about these kinds of stories, but are there any memorable times when there was a role where you just, or a story where you just had to say no?
Oh, many. many. And you know what? I've never regretted it. A lot of the time when you say no to something, just because your instincts are telling you to say no, every actor has this fear that you're never going to work again. It's ridiculous. But every time a job wraps, you go, well, that's it, never going to work again. Which is totally irrational, I know, but we're irrational people. So when I do say no, I have that fear. I'm like, do you really want to say no to this? Maybe you shouldn't, but I really don't want to do it, and it's inappropriate, or the writing's not good, or something about it bugs me. But I've never regretted every time I've said no. I won't tell you what. In the back, yes. Hi.
How would you describe Joss Whedon's directing style?
He's very specific, which I appreciate. A lot of actors just like to be left alone and kind of do what they want to do. But I like to be told what they want to see. It's kind of fun when someone says, okay, these are the specific moments I'm looking for, and then you go, I can do that. And he thinks of things like, I always say like a comic book in frames, in moments. And he doesn't stop until he gets exactly what he's looking for. Sometimes that's in one take, sometimes it's in 10 takes. And I appreciate that. And I think he is always looking out for his actors. He wants you to shine. And he figures out the best way to make that happen and makes it happen for you. And I love that. He's one of my favorites. Yes. Hi. My least favorite episode of Firefly to shoot or to watch. To shoot, anytime we were out in the desert and it was really, really hot, that sucked. Jamestown in particular. It was so hot and sweaty and gross, and it stunk around there. There was a lot of mud. And it's like one of those days you get home and you can just scrape the dirt off your face. Showers at the end of the day were really nice. And it was far as hell. It was like a 2-hour drive to get there every day. So that was brutal. But we still laughed our heads off. We still had a really good time. But yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people as an audience you don't realize is it's all about the elements. You know what I mean? I can't help but, when I watch shows and movies, I can't help but go oh man, that was a nightmare to shoot. Because like I know how terrible that must have been. Like when you see these like, I don't know, like movies like The Revenant or stuff like that, I'm just like, oh my god, those poor people, those poor actors, that was brutal. And I think that's why I love doing Stargate so much, because we were mostly in studio. And I got to wear the same thing every day. And that's the best. No thinking involved. It's great. Yes?
What's your favorite episode of Stargate?
My favorite episode of Stargate to shoot was Trio. Because I am in love with David and Amanda. And we all have the same sense of humor. And it's very naughty. And once we start laughing, we can't stop. There's a word for that. It's called corpsing in this business. Ricky Gervais does a whole thing on it. Google it. It's hilarious. And it's when you literally can't stop laughing. And it's horrible sometimes because the crew hates you. Like they're all just like, get on with it. It's not that funny. But like it's like you can't stop. It's like a hysteria. And I get that with those two. So all we did was that. Like we did a scene where there were kids looking down in the hole. They were like 9 and 10 or something. And they were such pros. And we were not. And it was, I felt so bad. Like we were laughing during their coverage and couldn't stop. And I was like, this is so terrible. I feel so bad for these kids. But like, I don't know, being around those two just turns me into a 5-year-old. You can't help it. Hmm?
5-year-old with a different mind?
Yes. Well, that's weird.
What are your favorite characters of your co-stars in Firefly played?
Oh, I've never been asked that. Like 10 years of conventions, I've never been asked that. Good for you. It's a tough one. Tough one to do. Oh gosh. Well, I really liked Marina in Deadpool. I thought she looked gorgeous too. I love when she has her hair long. Gina in Suits is pretty badass. Gina is always badass though. Like that's just Gina. And I haven't started watching The Rookie yet. Don't tell Nathan I said that. I'm sure he's very good. It's on my PBR. And Sean did this movie years ago called Brian's Song. He did a remake of Brian's Song that is like devastating. He's so good in it. Makes me cry. What else? And Alan is kind of a fixture in my house because I have a kid. And every time I hear a voice in an animated movie, I'm like, there's Alan again. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but my son yesterday was pretending to be Hey from Moana. I was like, there's Alan, great. Influencing the youth. I texted that to him at 7 a.m. There you go. Yeah, a cool question. Thanks for that. Come on. Yes, sir.
So, you say you all most of your actors are your close men. Do you script text? Like, this would be a great...
No, we never talk about work. No, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? That's what I love the most about them, actually, is that they're actors who don't take themselves too seriously. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more annoying than an actor who just can't stop talking about what they're working on. It's just kind of like, who cares? It's just a job. And those people are real. They're grounded, and I don't know, we talk about life, we talk about our kids. I text them very annoying parenting questions when I'm in a panic. Yeah, stuff like that. And Nathan always, like, out of the blue will send me, like, a really amazing, heartfelt message. I'm like, is he drunk? But it's very sweet. They're like, just wanted you to know, I was just thinking about you today. I wanted you to know how much I miss you. And I'm, like, waiting for the, the other text. But yeah, they're very, very sweet. Yes?
I was just wondering, what was it like when you got notice that Firefly was canceled, and what was it like when you got notice that you were doing the movie?
Well, it got canceled around Christmas time, so that wasn't cool. It was it was an awful day, but at the same time, it was like kind of a relief because we were waiting the whole time for the news. We kind of knew. I mean, shows like Fastlane, which was their other new show, had big premieres on Sunset Boulevard, and we didn't get a premiere party. We just felt like the underdog. We kind of knew that it was going to happen. But it was still an awful day. And Joss was really mad. I've never seen him mad before. I was like, whoa, he is fuming. And we stopped shooting for the day. Tim Minear was directing our episode. We were shooting The Message. And basically said, okay, well, I think we should all stop for the day and just digest this news and take a moment, and we'll resume tomorrow. We'll finish the episode. Yeah. So we all left. Sean wasn't there. And I think like all of us called him, so he like got out of some massage to like 10 missed calls or something, messages. Yeah, and I was like, well, what do we do now? And Nathan was like, oh, go to my house and have margaritas, I guess. And that's what we did. And it ended up being one of the most fun episodes to shoot because, I don't know, we just sort of, the pressure was off. We knew we weren't, like, if we screwed up and laughed our way through takes, we weren't going to get fired. We were already fired. So we ended up just sort of living for it and soaking up the moment as much as we could. And then, yeah, during our last scene when we wrapped, we all gave big hugs, and Ron burst into sobs. He was like the first one to lose it. Yeah, and Joss was basically like, I'm not going to rest, I'm not going to stop until I find us a home, even if it's puppet theater. We'll do puppet theater. And we were like, okay, this was like, I don't know, my 5th canceled show, so I just thought like, sure, see you never kind of thing. And never in a million years thought he would get a movie made. And I was on my way to the airport to shoot Wonder Falls in Toronto when I got the call. And he called me and he was like, we're making a movie. And I was like, are we though? Like, in your yard? And he was like, no, like I've written a script and Universal loves it and they're big fans and we're shooting in the biggest soundstage in the world and building the ship again. And it's kind of one of those things where like you don't have the heart to believe it until it's really, really happening. And then it was like a 4-month shoot of just joy. It felt like redemption. I think we really needed it. And it was a great movie. We were all so proud of that movie. And they left Joss alone and let him have his vision and do what he wanted to do. And I think it feels that way. And I love that movie still. I still like watching it. Hi.
You said you didn't steal anything from Firefly's TV show. Did you steal anything from Firefly's movie?
No, I did not. I did not. And everyone else did. It's all gone. Someone has it. You know who has it, I'm sure. Yeah, Nathan's house is covered in stuff related to Firefly. And I told my husband this before we were married and we were going to Nathan's for something. And I said, there's a lot of Firefly stuff in there. And he was like, oh yeah. And we got there and he's like, whoa, you are not kidding. He has like a cabinet, a glass cabinet, and it's all on display. And he's got like he has the catalyzer and the port compression coil in there. He has his gun. He's got like a ton of stuff. And then he's got one of his guest rooms that I had to sleep in the last time I was there. He has Mal pillows. Yeah, I think a fan made him at a convention, and they're like little, like decorative pillows on the bed with like his face. Which is a little intense. But yeah, there is no bigger Firefly fan than Nathan Fillion. No bigger Firefly fan.
So, in your answer, you just said that you slept with Mal.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that the whole time I was in the bed. It's like, this feels wrong on so many levels. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Sure. Just jumping into the story of Atlas again. What does it feel like when you're coming to like a really storied franchise almost? You have, like you start acting like that happened. It's been there for decades and stuff. Like what is that like? They're all the backstory or?
It was a little scary, to be honest with you. Like, I was replacing a character that was very well loved on the show, who also happens to be a really close friend of mine. Yeah. He was the MC at our wedding, like, we're tight. So imagine all of these elements, will ya? And I'm rolling into my first day of work, like, oh my god. I had to cross a picket line as well of Carson Beckett fans. Like, bring back Carson. And I was like, cool, where's my hat? So I was really nervous. I was nervous as hell during that first episode. They were all so nice to me and welcoming and teased me and made me feel like one of the gang from the beginning, and that helped very much. But yeah, it was tough to go into for sure. Yeah, and whatever, I'll just tell you. I didn't watch the show before I got there, so I lied and said that I had. It was a lot of TV to catch up on. To be fair, I was like, this is impossible. But they're like, so you've seen the show, right? And I was like, yeah, totally. Let's go, ready? And then we were doing this episode. I can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me. Doesn't matter. Where there were a lot of background performers, and they all had uniforms as well. And if you've noticed, we all have our flags of what country we're from on our uniforms. Joe and David switched flags out one time. I got in a lot of trouble for it because it was filmed, and they used that take. Oops. Anyways, and there was a background performer who had a flag that I didn't recognize. I said, "What country is that from?" I'm thinking with David and Amanda, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't place it either." And we're all thinking. And I said, "Well, maybe it's a new country in the future." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, like we're in the future, so maybe it's a new country in the future." And they were like, "We're not in the future. Have you seen the show?" And I was like, so this whole time I've been thinking, and I'm like, well, I don't, like, why are we in the Pegasus Galaxy? And they're like, because it's fiction. It's fiction. But it's present day, friend. It's present day. And I was like, oh, wow. Don't tell anybody else like that. Anyway, do your research, like I said. Oh, wow. Yes, Sam.
I'm not sure if you can answer this or not, but Nathan Fillion in one of the Castle episodes, it was a Halloween episode.
Yes.
He dressed as his Firefly character. Do you know if that was his actual?
100%. Yes. And I don't know that there's a line I think that Stana's character says, where she's like, "You just gotta let it go," or something like that. You won't. You will not. Yes. Yes.
So do you have any interesting sort of backstory or headcanon that you made up about Kaylee or any other characters you didn't?
I didn't, I just always thought it was coming. Like, I would find out Kaylee's backstory, so I didn't really have to worry about it or think about it, and then, we got canceled. Yeah, that's what I meant about, just so much story to tell. We weren't even, we were just getting started, barely getting started. I wanted to meet Kaylee's dad, I wanted to see where she was from. So yeah, it just always feels like unfinished business, In the bow tie, yes.
So, as we were saying about the not knowing what the show was about, what time it was, are there any other big hiccups or mistakes you made that you were?
Yeah, I make mistakes all the time, all the time. The trick is to hide it. My nickname on the set of Stargate was Worst Doctor Ever. That they would all say, in a sing-song voice. We'd be in scenes and I'd have to be in the background doing something, and I would knock over a drawer, or knock over doctoring tools spilled on the floor, and they would be like, worst doctor ever. You hear a crash, and it was definitely me. Yeah, but I've always been taught, fake it till you make it, right? It works. Just pretend you know what you're doing. It kind of works with everything in life. Yes, and the mustache. Hi, how can I miss you? Here you are.
What would you say are some of the biggest ways that acting has changed, or that the landscape of acting has changed?
Well, there are a lot more jobs these days. Back in the day, in the Firefly days, there were basically 5 networks, and they ran the show. NBC, ABC, and they're still around, but there are so many more new platforms for original programming, which is amazing. I mean, Netflix is doing, I can't remember the number I read, but it's an insane amount of new shows. So there's just a lot more employment, which is awesome. And a lot more creative freedom, too. And it's exciting again. I don't know, it just feels like there's just so much more opportunity. And all of these little shows that could are getting a voice and being able to be seen, and it's just so well deserved. There were so many shows back then that just, like Wonder Falls, I think it aired 3 episodes or something before it got canceled, which is such a shame. It was such a brilliant show. So yeah, I think if a show like Firefly was on nowadays, it probably would have gone further. Yeah. Hi.
Since Firefly went on the air, a lot of the cast TV went on to take a lot of significant recurring roles in your series like of course, has the series,
Yeah.
moving on to APP,
Yeah.
Deadpool, etc. Do you think Firefly had a really big effect on that, especially with the way that so many fans were pushing to get that series back?
I think so. I mean, I've booked lots of jobs because of Firefly. There are a lot of times where, the writers will say, oh, we're big, like, The Magicians, and Staite. The writers were fans of Firefly, and that's why I got asked to do that show at all, which is really amazing. I remember showing up at work one of my first days, and one of them had Serenity as his screensaver on his computer, and he was like, hello. It's so awesome to see. So yeah, it's I think benefited us all, and once again, it's so crazy, right? It was just like this tiny little show that changed everybody's life. Yeah. Yes.
So completely switching gears, how did you get involved in the Tea Runners thing?
Oh, that's my husband's very smart brain. When I met Charlie, he was talking about doing something like that. He'd been in the subscription box business forever, and he was like, I feel like we should do something with tea, like with loose leaf tea, because it travels well, it packs well, it can cross the border without any problems. And I think I can figure out a way to design a box that's thin enough that it looks like a letter. It can go letter mail, so we can ship for free too. So he was thinking about it, doing other things, and then finally he just bit the bullet and was like, I'm going to try it out, let's do it. And it's become quite successful. It turns out people love tea as much as we do. So it's great. If you guys don't know, it's a subscription box for loose leaf tea. It's our little side business, tearunners.com. You get 4 loose leaf teas every month delivered to your door, and they're really, really good. And it's really fun for me too, because I get to try tea all the time. Big box comes in, and he's like, okay, I need you to try all these, and I'm like, yay! So we just did the Christmas teas, so gingerbread tea, and carrot cake tea, and snickerdoodle tea, and it was so much fun. Everybody was very jealous of me that week. Yes, hi.
You were able to reunite with Sean on our 13, and you guys on how was reuniting with acting?
Kind of weird, like when you know someone really well, it's always strange to see them slip into character. Like you're like, oh, this is so weird. With Sean, it was great because that episode, his character was pining after me for a change. So I enjoyed that. He also had to run around in a purple spandex jumpsuit. I also enjoyed that. Gave me a lot of laughs that week. And with Nathan, I think he was wearing a suit. He had to wear a suit for Castle for one of our scenes. And I was like, oh, I don't think think I've ever seen you in a suit before. You look good. Clean up well. Yeah, it was super fun. And Nathan said the same thing. He was like, it's so weird to watch you act. He's like, I know, this is so strange. Yes, hi.
What's your favorite video game or system that you use?
My favorite video game, Super Mario 3, baby. I'm the best at it. I was a huge Nintendo addict, and kind of still am. Like, it's best I don't plug it in, because hours will go by. Yeah, I'm kind of addicted in that way, so I haven't really gotten into anything else, which is for the best. I have a family now, I'm sure they'd like to see me. I hear Fortnite's really good. Everyone's talking about Fortnite now, and I'm getting more and more curious, which is bad. You had a question, right? Yes. How much of Rodney is David? All, everything. Rodney McKay is David Hewlett. Yeah. Which is really funny. His like, you know, when he gets excited, it always makes me laugh. He's a very excitable person. Yeah, I think a lot of the characters on Staite, they were very similar to their real life personas, real life people, except for Rachel. Rachel is this like sweet, kind, like always laughing, smiling, like bubbly, and when she's Taylor, she's very serious, which is always funny to me to see. Yes.
I'm going to turn on the Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine?
What was it like? Well, the second season break came to this season.
It was season 1. I had to leave season 2 because I was under contract with Disney to do Flash Forward.
And you switched roles with the imaginary friend.
Yes.
And have your children seen it?
No, he hasn't. No, I think there was like a Hallmark movie on or something, a rerun on TV. He was like, "That's Mama. That's Mama." I was like really confused by that, but he hasn't seen anything else. I'm so curious to see what he thinks. You know, he's not quite there yet. He really likes Moana. It's like Alan.
What are your thoughts on imagination and imaginary?
On that switch? Well, on having an imaginary friend. What are my thoughts on having an imaginary friend? I think it's creepy. Yeah. Like, I think ghosts. As soon as if my kid ever says, "Oh, I'm talking to my buddy," I'm going to be terrified and bring someone to smudge my house. Those are my thoughts. Yes, hi. I'll just keep talking until you tell me not to, okay? Did you give me one of these? Does that mean 5 minutes?
So because you like video games, what was it, same kind of question, what was it like when you heard about Firefly Online?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it's something. Do you know what I mean? But it's not everything. We can't help but go like, okay, but we want to hear the other news too, that it's coming back. But yeah, I feel that way about the comic books too. Like, it's cool, I love that the stories are continuing, but we're also kind of like jealous that we don't get to perform those stories. It's going on without us. That doesn't feel good. But it's something, right? Better than nothing? I don't know. Yes, hi.
Me this time?
Yeah.
If you had a green light to adapt any book or comic or video game or whatever you wanted to film.
I read a book, I can't help but cast the characters. I'm always the lead. But I can't help but visualize it as a script and what it would look like. I don't know, I mean, maybe because we're so close to Halloween, but I've been holding out for a Witching Hour movie. Anne Rice, Witching Hour, that book is so good. Another amazing book I read, Shantaram. You guys read that book? It's insane. It's so good. Yeah, I mean, I think that about most things I read and love. Yeah. That's a broad answer. I know it's kind of boring. Sorry. Yeah.
Along those lines, is there any character that you grew up watching on film or TV that you think, if they ever remade that, I want to be that character?
used to think Ariel, The Little Mermaid. Like, I was super obsessed with Ariel. Like, I've been Ariel for Halloween probably 5 times as a grown adult. Yeah, but now that I have a kid, I don't know, like, when you watch those old Disney movies, it's sort of weird. Like, she gives up her voice to be with a man? No. Yeah, so I don't know. You know what another one is Les Mis? I'm a huge Les Miserables fan. And I would, like, kill to be in some sort of adaptation of that. Like, when they did the movie and I wasn't Eponine, I was very angry. That's my role. And then I went, like, I was at a Q&A recently and someone was like, oh, you might be getting too old to play Eponine, you could play Fantine. And I was like, what did you just say? So yeah, still holding out for Les Mis. I guess it's just a couple more. Yes, in the pink.
Who have you met in your acting life that has just starstruck you? Have you loved them as a child?
I've Benedict Cumberbatch. I got really starstruck over him. I'm a huge fan. When he played Khan in one of the recent, there's a scene he does where it's like a big long monologue and the camera is like right here. And I remember seeing that and going, oh my God, that was so good, I have to see that again. And rewound it and watched that scene again because he's just brilliant. He's so good. And I met him in Australia and it was really embarrassing. We were in the green room, he was one of the guests at the convention, and they gave us all these cookies, these like Tim Tam cookies. They're so delicious. And we were all kind of hoarding them. And I was eating one and he like came up behind me and I didn't know. And he was like, oh, those look delicious. And I turned around with a cookie in my mouth and said, these are mine. So, blew it. I mean, we all get starstruck over somebody. It happens to everybody. I was a huge Lost fan, and anytime I meet any of the cast of Lost, I get weird. Like, I can feel myself getting weird. And I'm like, stop being weird. I just did an episode of The Good Doctor on ABC. It airs in November. It airs soon. And Daniel Day Kim is one of the producers. I did not know that. So I booked the job, and I got to set and he came up to me and was like, hi Joel, it's so nice to meet you, we're so happy to have you. And I was like, oh my God, that's Jim, it's Jim from Lost. And I was like, stop getting weird. And I was just like a deer in the headlights because I was so in love with that show. So it clearly still affects me because I couldn't speak to that very nice man, but that's okay. Anyway, one last question. I feel so bad, you guys. I have to be the one to do this. Yes, sir. How good of a mechanic am I in real life? If I had a nickel. Man, I always feel like I'm disappointing people when I say this, but like, I'm useless. I'm so useless that I had like a panic attack in Home Depot trying to find the right light bulbs for a lamp at home. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And this guy was like, can I help you? And I was like, I just need a light bulb and I don't know which one. I'm pathetic. Cooking, yes. Machines, no. Sorry. Busted your fantasies, no. I'm so sorry. Thanks so much, you guys. You were a lot of fun. Thanks.
Thank you so much.